Okay, everybody, now that we've discussed these two works of art right here, we should all know by now that these two objects are made up of letters. So we're going to talk about why the artist has made these objects using letters and these two new art words right here, word art and typography, and how those relate to our next project. So we've used typography last year when we created these self-portraits. We used words that describe us to fit into the dark shapes of our face to represent the self-portrait of us. So that is a form of word art or typography, same thing. A type of artist called a graphic designer might use typography or word art to convey certain messages. So objects combined with text to create logos or t-shirts or other designs that can be printed. So an artist might use literal text or typography to add interest to their design. And typography is basically just text design. So the way that fonts or words are designed to look differently. Literal text and word art, that's very similar to typography. It just means that when the text forms the word it represents. So for example, the word pencil is in the shape of a pencil, like this example up here. This is a pencil from start to finish, but it's forming the word pencil. So the object and the text are literally the same. That's why we call it literal text. Same thing with this example right here for the burger. Each layer of the burger, the mustard, ketchup, cheese, bacon, lettuce, onion, tomato, they're all forming this part of the burger that they represent. So the cheese right here looks like melty cheese, but the text is forming the cheese, so it's literally the same. So let's look at a couple of graphic designers who use literal text for their designs. This is a book cover and it says the lake. So the artist, the graphic designer, wanted to show the text forming water droplets so that literally the text looked like water, like a lake. Same thing with this poster right here. This is for maybe a book called Down the Drain. And each of the letters are forming drain pipes. So the text and the object are the same. Here's a couple more examples of graphic designs. This is a movie poster for the movie The Birds, and you can see the text is forming little tiny birds. So the text and the objects are the same. This is for a motorcycle company, and this is their logo, and you can kind of see the body of the motorcycle is made up of just text. Same thing for this t-shirt. This is an otter. And the main parts of the otter are made up of the letters O-T-T-E-R with a couple extra details in there. So we're talking about word art because for our next project, you're going to think of your own word art design. You're going to think kind of like a graphic designer. You're going to create two designs, kind of like this example right here with the ice cream. You're going to sketch and brainstorm 3 ideas, but choose your favorite 2. So in your final project, you'll have 2 of these. We will use some drawing, but mostly cutting and gluing to create your final works of art. You're going to have to think about how you'll need to distort your letters to fit the shape of your objects. So notice the C and the E right here. The artist had to figure out a way to stretch, squish, distort those letters to really fit their object so that the ice cream was only made up of letters in the end. Here's a couple tips that I want you to think about. Think about complex shapes, not simple shapes. These are great examples from other students who chose complex shapes, and that makes their design more interesting. So for example, a Snoopy has lots of curves, angles, sides. It's a very complex shape. Same thing for the cat right here. There's lots of different angles and sides to the cat that make this shape very complex. If I was to just do a circle and fit the word ball inside of it for maybe a basketball, that wouldn't be very interesting because a circle is not a very interesting shape. Not as interesting as these 2 shapes right here. So think about that when you choose your words. Second, when you're thinking about your final design, think about adding details to the background and other details into your design. So this person right here had a great project. They were representing the word piano, and even on the front, they represented the word keys for the piano keys right here. So they're using multiple words, but this is only the small part of their design. The rest of their design is all this background information and other parts of the piano that they're adding to make this more clearly a piano in a scene of a stage. Okay, lastly, try and represent objects that show your interests. These two fifth graders from last year, obviously this person was interested in Pokemon, and they're combining multiple words. Pokeball for the first shape, and that's kind of simple, it's just a circle, that's fine. But look how complex this one is. This is an actual Pokemon, and I think it's called Gardevoir. So they're using multiple words, and they're thinking of things that they like. Same thing for this student. They like basketball, so they decided to do the player LeBron James. So this is also interesting as well because they're adding other features that aren't necessarily made up of text, but we can tell that this is a basketball player in the end. Okay, one more tip. Use multiple words in one picture if you're feeling really fancy. This person represented the words strawberry smoothie, so they're representing more than one word. It makes their design very interesting. This person right here did a flamingo, and then below they're spelling river, so it looks like the flamingo's on top of a river, and in the sky there's a sun. So this is a simple shape, a circle, but the flamingo is pretty complex, and so is the river. So they're using multiple words in one picture, so think about that as well. Okay, so let's talk now about your goals. You're going to make 2 works of art using your shapes. You're going to use neat and careful constructions to make sure that your text fits well within your shapes. And then your image and text are understandable, so they're telling some sort of story. So that's where your background information and your details come in. So let's talk now about how we start. I'm going to show you a demo video of how I start to fit my letters into the shape of the object that I want to create.